Good afternoon and welcome to today's Exploring Tools session. Today we're going to be exploring Google Jamboard. So Google Jamboard is an interactive whiteboard application. You can run it as a web app or you can purchase Google hardware and use Google Jamboard that way. Using the web app is a free approach and you can use that with any of your students regardless of their browser. Now I've opened a Chrome browser, and if I go up here to the right hand side you can see I've already logged in. I've created a test user for this demonstration, and there are a couple of ways to open Jamboard. So I'm going to go on to the waffle menu. One way to get to Jamboard is to go down to Google Drive. You can see I've got lots of documents on the screen. There is one here called EDS Jamboard, but actually if I want to make a brand new one I can go to the new button, and if I come down to the bottom and choose more, there is a Google Jamboard just there. It's just opening. An alternative way, if I open a new tab, is I can go back to the waffle menu, and if I scroll down the waffle menu, you'll see I've got Google Jamboard here, and then that will open. You can see I've got 3 Jamboards in there. I can make a new one by using the plus sign down here, or I can open an existing one. So I'm going to open an existing Jamboard, so one that I've created for this demonstration. Now you normally get up a blank screen, which is what I've got here, and we'll have a look at the tools that are available to you. So the tools all appear down the left hand side. They're fairly intuitive. I have a pen, I can draw with it. I can choose different types of pens, so a brush or a highlighter for instance. I can change the colour. So if you're collaborating on this with students, they could pick a different colour pen if you liked, if they're in small groups. I have an eraser. Now, unfortunately, if you're collaborating together, anybody that has access to this Jamboard can rub out the work, so you do need a little bit of cooperation between participants. This is the select tool, and I'll come back to that in a minute. This is a sticky note tool, so I can just add up a sticky note. And you literally just type into the box. And let's just spell essential correctly. We'll make a sticky note. I can have my sticky notes in a different colour. And I could go on like that, and I can add as many sticky notes as I like. So let's just close that out. If I come back to the select tool now, I can select my sticky notes. I can move them around the screen. If I want to, I can rotate them. And I've got a menu here, so I can duplicate my sticky note, or I can use the order tool. So if I've got lots of things on a diagram, I can send them forward and backwards, just the same as you can in the Word documents that you've been using, or if you've used any other drawing tools, you'll be able to order the layers. So let's have a look at what else we've got. So I have an image tool as well. I can upload an image, or I can bring one through from a URL. I could use the camera. I can use your Google Images. If I've got some saved on my drive, I can do it that way, or I could get a Google photo. So just for this, let's, I haven't got any Google photos in this account. So let's go Google Images, and let's just go and have an ice cream. Okay, so I can pick any image I like. Oh, let's have this Sunday. Just insert. It takes a little while to come up, and then my images come up. So you can put in visual clues as well as text-based tools. I have a drawing tool, So if I just drop this out, I can choose different kinds of shapes. Let's just have a circle for now. Draw a circle there. And again, I can move it about. I can rotate it, not that we'll see that I've rotated my circle really. I can add another circle if I wanted to have a Venn diagram, for instance. Or I could have duplicated that. I can right click it. I can change the order, so I could send this one further back. So now the other one is overlapping it. And I have a text tool, so I can just draw a text box. And then lastly at the bottom, I have a laser pointer. So that is used for presentations, and it will let me talk about something and circle it. So here you can see I'm showing you where I added a text box. Here's where I added a stick-it note. You can see it's a temporary pointer designed for presentations. So those are the basic tools that we have down the side here. But we have some other tools at the top here. I could clear the entire frame. I could add a background. Now, there are some standard backgrounds that I've got here with dots or lines or a graph. So you could use graph paper and you could be demonstrating a graph. Or I can add an image. And those of you that joined us a few weeks ago will know that I added a series of images to the background of my PowerPoint slides. And by putting an image in the background, it's then not going to get moved by the students whilst they're doing their work. So here I'm going to use a background just to give me a bit of a theme. In this case, I'm using an ETF background, and that will give me a suitable theme. So I've just got a nice green background, and all the work I've done is on top of it. You can see it sitting in the background. I can move some of the items I've been working on around the screen, so that I could have a standard theme if I wanted to. I've also got up here, so I've selected the circle. Up here I can change the colour of the outline. I can fill in the colour. I can give it a pale blue colour. You can play about and do different elements of that. I can zoom in and out of the picture. So I've fitted it on the screen. I could go up to 200. You can see it zooms into the picture, and I can zoom back to, I think we were on fit, so it fits the screen. And I've got my standard undo and redo tools up here that we're used to in most applications that we use. So that's how I create a slide. This one's pretty messy, so let me clear the frame. You can see my background that I put in as a background picture remains, but I've cleared the content of the frame. So I have some other tools up here on the right hand side. This one would allow me to present as a series of slides, perhaps to a meeting. I have the 3 dots that will let me rename my Jamboard. So let's do that, because there is no space in Jamboard. Let's just take that out. If I come back to the 3 dots, you can see I could download the Jamboard as a PDF. So if I've been working with a group of students, perhaps across the afternoon, developing up some ideas, I could download it and share it. I can save it as an image, or I could delete it, or I could make a copy of it. So for instance, if I produce something I wanted to use with several classes across the week, I could then copy my Jamboard and give each one a different name for each different group. And then you can get some help and send feedback to Google, and we've got the normal version history. Now, one of the most key elements of using a Jamboard is that you can share it. So if we go into the blue share button, you have a couple, let's just close these. You have a couple of ways to share your Jamboard. You can type in an individual's email address and just send them a link, or you can send a copy of the link to anybody. And we'll do that in a minute, and I'll share my Jamboard with you all. Now what's important is whether they can view or edit. Now if you want people to be able to collaborate, you're going to need to give them edit mode. So normally what I do is create a Jamboard and then I create a copy of it and I share the copy. And that way I've still got the original and it's just for me. So I'm going to give everybody editor and then I can copy the link. And then I can paste that into an email, or like now I'm going to paste that into our chat pane and you'll all be able to go to the Jamboard. But we'll do that momentarily. So I've done that. And that really is most of the tools. So it's fairly easy and straightforward to use. What's clever about Jamboard is how do you use it. Now, I've used one slide here. And you can see at the top here, I've got 9 other slides. So we'll look at those slides to give you some ideas of how to use it. But this is showing me in thumbnail size all the slides I've got. I can add a blank slide if I want to, and I can have up to 20 slides in a Jamboard. I can delete or duplicate a slide. So let me delete that one. I could duplicate this one. So if I wanted to put students into groups, I would create a slide for each group. So we're using Zoom today. So if I made breakout groups, I could put you out into breakout groups and ask each group to work on a different slide, and I could give them the slide number. So let me just delete that. Okay. And go back to my main slide, which is here. And then I wanted to show you some examples of how to use Jamboard. So there's one I've created here. Oh, unfortunately, I've just zoomed into that one. Let's put that back to screen size. So this is a simple sort exercise. So I've put a background picture and then I've asked people to select the EDS standards and move them around the board to the right quadrant. So they can put them where they like. So I'll get you to have a go at that shortly. Here's some other examples. So here I've posed a question. Why should there be a pre-E3 EDS qualification? I could ask people to stick sticky notes on it and add their answers. And we'll all do this in a second. We'll have a go at a couple of them. I've got another one here, so I've got a different background picture and I'd use this for a brain dump. So if I've got students doing some work on some newsletters and we've been talking about design, I might just ask them to add text or add sticky notes with all the ideas that they have about how you go about designing a newsletter. And then I've got some other ones here. So we'll come to this slide shortly once I share the Jamboard with you. And I will ask you to contribute some other ideas. And then I'll go through what each one of these ideas means and how you might use them with your students. But for the case of the video, I've got some other examples here. Now, I found these very easily doing a Google search. I haven't created them myself. This one comes from Make Way for Tech. They've got a whole load of Jamboard backgrounds so to give you ideas of how to use it. So this one is just collecting student opinions. This one would be quite good in an ESOL class. You could start with the blank Jamboard and then you ask your students to contribute examples of different words that meet the requirements of the headings. And here's another one great for ESOL. So what are alternative words for happy? So they're just some ways that you could use Google Jamboard. Another thing that you can do is search on Google for visual organisers, and there are a vast number of visual organisers. So you might create a Venn diagram, you might do a flow diagram. You can put all those images onto your Google Jamboard and ask your students to come and collaborate. So I'm going to pause there for the video for today's session, and we're going to go and explore this Jamboard and add some ideas. And at the end of the recorded session, I will upload a PDF of our Jamboard to the community of practice on the enhanced platform. So that brings my recording to an end. Thank you for looking at exploring Jamboard with me today. Please do look in the community of practice where you'll find this recording and a PDF of the Jamboard that we're now going to work.